नहीं नहीं वो तो ठीक।
Welcome, sir.
Yes, namaste.
So with your permission, shall we please start the event?
Yes, please.
Respected Professor Ganesh Hingmere sir, legal luminaries, advocates, academicians and student attendees. As we all know that intellectual property contributes to our national and state economies. Without protection of ideas, business, an individual would not reap the full benefit of their inventions and would focus less on research and development. Seeking this importance of IPR, we the team Legal Expatiate feel privileged to welcome you all to the third day of our national workshop on facets of IPR. Legal Expatiate is an initiative to bring together the best talent of this country and to infuse them with a nation's first attitude. An active forum of researchers, professionals, and students with an aim to bring some quality material to your threshold by organizing webinars, various competition, certificate courses, online financial paying services, and many more. In the line of series of event, we are delighted to have with us today Professor Ganesh Hingmere sir for today's session. Now I take this prerogative to introduce our guest speaker to you all. Professor Ganesh Hingmire sir is a renowned intellectual property enthusiast and a winner of two consecutive National Intellectual Property Award in 2015 and 2016, given by the Ministry of Commerce, Government of India. Sir has completed his LLM from the Cardiff University, UK, and LLB from renowned ILS College, Pune. After his science degree in chemistry, he has also completed MPhil in economics from University of Pune with a record of 91% grade point. All his education has been supported by the numerous scholarships he bagged for being a brilliant student. Honorable Sir has also completed several professional training with Japan Patent Office at Tokyo, Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, IIT Kanpur and National Institute of Science Communication and Information Resource Delhi. He has constantly supported various industries for their IPR registration and commercialization since 2002. He is a visiting faculty to most prestigious academic institutions in India and delivered more than 1,000 sessions in different states, including IITs and national law schools. In 2013, Honorable Sir started the Great Mission Group Consultancy, GMGC, which is dedicated towards promotion and protection of IPR in the country. He is also the founder and director of GMGC IPR Service Private Limited, a startup recognized by Government of India under the Startup India scheme launched in 2016. Not just to this, he is also an ardent reader and passionate writer with more than 200 published articles and numerous news articles in all majorly circulated newspaper of Maharashtra and India. He's also authored two books on economics and intellectual property right manuscripts of two more books is under preparation. The persona like him has been interviewed by majority of news channels in Maharashtra recognizing his work and many online news portals like India Today, The Better India, India Times, and many more has published his story from struggle to his achievement while recognizing how his work more efficiently utilize the platform to reach out to farmers and aspirants and make them aware about intellectual property rights. As a social perspective, he also started a YouTube channel to widen his reach to make common people people aware of IPRs. IIT Kharagpur invited him to chair the session and to inaugurate the Patents and Geographical Indication Drive program in 2016. His organization has memorandum of understanding signed with many renowned colleges, institutions, and university in Maharashtra for academic promotions of IPR. Honorable Sir has attended 6 ministerial conferences of World Trade Organization at Hong Kong 2005, Geneva 2011, Indonesia 2013, Kenya 2015, and Argentina 2017. And his 3 position papers on GI issues have been published at WTO website. Respected Sir choose to work in the area of community IP rights, that is geographical indication, and make it a tool for economic growth of India. He worked as an expert for international projects called A Tale of GI in India, supported by European Union and Government of India. He has worked 30 GIs, out of which 26 are registered. His contribution in registering agriculture GI is more than 25% of total agriculture GI registered in India. His work directly touches the lives of farmers and help them to get premium price for their product nationally. And this all is possible because of his genuine efforts and relentless hard work. Maharashtra is top in the list of agriculture GIs in India, being the trailblazer in the field of intellectual property and particularly in the area of community IP rights. Professor Ganesh Hingmere sir has incalculable level of understanding and experience regarding the building business out of an innovative concept. We are truly blessed and honored enough to have such an eminent personality on our platform today. We heartily welcome you, sir. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. If you have any doubts, you may simply put it in the chat box of your control panel, which will be answered by the speaker later. You all are requested to kindly mute your audio and video mode so that it could not create any hindrance in the ongoing session. Now, I would request our guest speaker to kindly take over the charge and enlighten us all. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, one and all. I must say thanks to organizer for an opportunity to discuss a very important subject called intellectual property right, and more specific. Today's my topic is a procedural aspect of intellectual property right, focusing on patent registration, copyright registration, trademark registration, and remedies. Actually, the single topic may take hours to discuss. The registration part, because that is the practical, you can say, part for the anyone, any lawyers or any students or any researchers to understand. So, however, what I have decided, I will cover the first registration, like how to register the patent, then I'll shift to the how to register the copyright, and then lastly probably that trademark and copyright with. There are certain common, you can say, steps for all intellectual property right, and that I will discuss with one slides. Can host allow me to, can organizer allow me to get an access, let me become a co-host.
Yes, sir. You want to share the PPT?
Yeah, that's why
Sir, we have given you the access.
No, I'm not getting an access. I'm trying to get. Now I got it. So let me start. I hope you must have understand the concept of intellectual property right. Today we will discuss the procedural aspects of intellectual property right, how to register the intellectual property right, and mainly how particularly we will discuss the steps need to be taken for the registration of intellectual property right. And initially we will discuss about the patent, how to register the patent. Before that, I hope you all know that what is patent, and of course before that you should know what is intellectual property right. Intellectual property right, once you understand the concept of intellectual property right, the rest procedural part is very easy to understand. So this is basically a property. This is a proprietary right. That's why this is called commonly as an intellectual property right. Why I say commonly? Because there are different forms of intellectual property. You know the patent, you know the trademark, you know the copyright, you know the industrial design and geographical indication. So these are different intellectual property right. You have different laws to protect these different intellectual property right, and there are certain common parameter we will discuss today to as a procedural aspect to register these intellectual property right. First, again, I'm going back to the jurisprudence, the law of science. That's intellectual property right. The concept property which we know very well, like this is my office, so this property belongs to me, so I'm an owner of this property. This property is in my possession. So there are two major element you'll have to remember with respect to the property. One is ownership, second is possession. So I said this office is my office, so this office owned by me, this office is in my possession. When I say this is my pen, this is movable property. My office is immovable property because that is attached to the other. And this is a movable property which I can move from this place to another place. That phenomena I think most of you must have understand by the previous speaker. I will not focus on that, but to connect to the procedural aspect, you need to understand this because that is a primary requirement to understand the procedural aspect. So why I'm connecting you all, since you know the concept called as a property. So when I say this is my pen, so I must have purchased this pen with certain amount. So there is a consideration, and I can use this pen. I can write my whatever things I would like to write, and I'm free to do that. So once I have a property, I am able to enjoy that property. However, if I have borrowed this pen from someone else, so this is not considered my property. But we can say this property is in my possession. Now, if I have this property, if the property is in my possession, if I'm not an owner of this pen, can I sell that pen to someone else? Can I transfer this pen, this property to someone else? The answer is no. The similar concept is applicable to intellectual property, right? If that Covishield is not patented by me, the drug, the vaccine is not patented by me, I don't have a right to transfer. So what does it mean? That is in my position. Second, that is owned by me. So, but that is an intangible property. So far I discussed about the tangible, which you can see by eyes, but the property which you cannot see by eyes, cannot touch by your this things, that is an intangible property. In other words, like the book which is there in my mind, which you cannot see, but the book is there in my mind. That's the intellectual property right. The concept in simple term, the property created by intellect is an intellectual property. The concept property which we know very well, there is ownership, there is a possession, and you can enjoy that. You can enjoy that property, but that need to be created by intellect. So that's the things. So there are different forms which you might have understood so far. Now why I have discussed this in the beginning itself, to get it protected, you need to understand whether the property is really owned by someone. If it is not owned by someone, and if that property is not in possession of that fellow who intend to transfer, the property is not so-called, typically what we use a term for our normal immovable properties is a clear title. The similar concept is applicable to intellectual property right, and that is the first essential criteria to register any intellectual property right. let me explain you in a very lucid manner. The book is written by XYZ, but he failed to register, or whatsoever manner he gave it to me to read the book for maybe certain purpose, to review the book, or to whatsoever it may be, maybe proofreading purpose, etc., etc. Can I register that copyright in my name? But book is in my hand. The book, I got it. So, and legally transferred by someone else. But for what purpose? That purpose is just to read, to review, but not to get the ownership of that book. So the first essential criteria which is applicable to the general property is a clear title. That is also required here. The original work, the invented work, the novelty, those are the requirement to get the intellectual property right. Now, let me explain a very simple manner, like a patent. We all know that maybe what you can say, electricity invented by a great scientist, and then today you will find there are so many inventions, maybe LEDs and etc., 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 etc. It's developing. Does it mean that the original person who invented electricity will have the exclusive and forever ownership? The answer is no. Any improvement, there are two aspects as per the Patent Act 1970 is concerned. Number one, technical enhancement, or number two, economic significance. If you either of the element proved successfully, then improved version can get a separate property called patent. So that's we will discuss. So first understanding is this is a property. We understood the jurisprudence. There are two elements attached to this property as well, that is possession and ownership. If I'm not a owner, then I cannot transfer. That is what we can say, a clear title which is applicable to your tangible property, to your immovable property, and your movable property. So here is the example of different patent I have selected from school age, because these are the improvement. They have improved. What I said, technical enhancement. What I said, economic significance. So you will find in these examples, if they have improved certain existing inventions and they have received the patents. So remember, there is a scope for to get the intellectual property right. Only the gray area, not a gray area, rather, that is a real understanding for the patent to get it registered. The first important, of course, I'm not going to talk much about the patent, but these are the patent. And as per the definition, patent is invention for new product or process which offer technical solution to the technical problem. What I've already said, that it was here you can say there was a problem for lady to create a basket, but she invented, and that's a waving machine you can find. Then another shop absorbing stretcher you can see. Those are the technical solution to the technical problem and can get registered as a patent. So patent is an intellectual property. We are discussing the requirement to get patent registered. Before that, we need to understand patent is only for new and useful invention. Then what is invention? Once that is invention, any new product or process which offer a technical solution to the technical problem. Now let me give you a very simple example of what is technical solution and technical problem. When I was there in IIT Kanpur in 2005 for training purpose, professional training, there one professor gave an excellent example of technical solution to the technical problem. See, we all have vehicles, and maybe we all are traveling from one place to another place, long distance sometime. And when we also travels from Pune to Mumbai. So one gentleman, I mean, basically, when you are traveling, you know there are a couple of rules need to be followed, including the speed limit zone. So certain area which is specifically defined and particularly protected that you should not drive your car more than that particular speed. So let me give you an example of Pune to Mumbai. If you wanted to travel from Pune to Mumbai, in Lonavala there is a zone called speed limit zone. You cannot drive your car more than 40 kilometers per hour. The situation is same all over India, and even globally the situation is you will find similar. So in US, that was a technical problem for police. So XYZ person wanted to drive from his place to say 200 kilometer to other place. Then if he's going through his car, there is a speed limit zone in between, but he don't know from where it starts. And further, if you wanted to drive his car with the constant say maybe 100 kilometer per hour speed, that is another, that maybe break the rule that somewhere somehow maybe 60 or 80 kilometer per hour is a speed limit zone. And if this fellow is running his car more than 100 kilometer per hour, and if police even wanted to catch this gentleman, then they will have to again break the rule and then catch the car. And then again there is another technical problem that to prove that this gentleman had broken a rule. So this was a technical problem. And then US department developed a system called a satellite detector. So if you are touching to that zone and crossing that zone for a speed limit zone, then satellite detector will detect your car with that speed. Like what we have in right now in Maharashtra, there is a speed gun that is right now fitted in the Yashwant Saman Express highway. That's so you that will be your vehicle will be caught, and then you will get the police prem patra in the next nearby police station. So here is a technical, it was a technical problem how to catch the car, and technical solution was a dead satellite detector. Here that invention proved, that is original. So prior requirement is proved to get the patent, to go for the patent registration, is that there is a no invention. Then why we are calling this as an invention? Because they're technical problem sorted out by the technical solution. So the first important ingredient to go for a patent registration is whether your patented product or process is an invention or not. So there is a concept called innovation. You find all, like you must have studied the contract. All contracts are agreement, but all agreements are not contract. The similar, all inventions are innovation, but all innovations are not an inventions. So that way you can understand the basic philosophy of understanding the patent. Once you understand what is patentable, what is non-patentable, then you can process for the application for the patent registration. You should not, or you are not allowed to jump to the direct process. Likewise, if you are getting an idea about the property, you will see the legal status of this property. You will see the possession for this property. Similar concept is a very essential concept for the patent. And then the most important aspect is starting from the patent. So here are some example which you can say technical solution to the technical problem. Omnidirectional cooler, which is there if you wanted to have the cool air in and around, not from only on the one side, that may be applicable from the conventional air cooler. That is a technical solution for the technical problem. So now different type of patent. Before you go to the application, you should further need to understand your invention is for what, your patent is for what. You are going straight away to the application, to the form submission, and later you realize, no, I should go for the product patent and not to the process patent. And before that, you should know what law says. In India, the Patent Act 1970 is applicable to the product patent as well as process patent, and third is a product through the process. Let me give you an example. Your drug, aspirin is a drug. That drug is a product. So if you invented that aspirin as a drug, then you are entitled to get the patent, because we have seen that there is an invention, technical solution to the technical problem. So you invented, you can get the patent for this. Now, that process for aspirin may be X plus Y plus Z, and someone further carried a search and invented A plus B plus C, more efficient, cost saving process. Then what I said, economic significance, then A plus B plus C can also claim as a process patent. So here a different types of patent need to be understand. It may be process patent or product patent, it may be composition, it may be whatever, say this. So now I'm coming to the requirement to get the patent. So the first requirement is the patentability. What is, there are three major requirements for patentability, and those need to be reflected in your application. Number one, novelty. Number two, inventive step. Number three, industrial application. What does it mean by novelty? The similar things. When you wanted to purchase this office, you need to have the title and search report in your hand. So this office must be clear. There shouldn't be any mortgage or something like this. What I gave you an example of this pen, that I got this pen from my friend, but what does it mean? I am not the owner of this pen, so I cannot transfer that. So I cannot sell this pen. Likewise, if I'm not an owner of any inventions, then I cannot claim transfer of this invention. So it has to be novel. What does it mean by novel in simple terms? That invention should not be available in any part of the world in any form. I repeat, that invention which you intend to get the patent should not be available in any part of the world in any form. It should be novel. So if I've invented a beautiful, what you can say, first class pen, and I've found this pen is entitled to get the patent, this is a novel. There is no similar kind of pen exist in any part of the world, and hence based on that I can claim patent on this and I can apply. So first requirement is a novel. You cannot claim someone's existing invention as your invention. If you are doing that, then there is a chances for objection and rejection of your patent. There is a ground for the rejection that will be covered in section 25(1) and section 25(2) of the Patent Act 1970. So first thing, before you proceed to the application, is a novelty. Then second is an inventive step. These three requirements are common all over the globe, because there is an international arrangement called TRIPS agreement. There is an international convention called Paris Convention. And because of this international commitment, India is at par with the global laws pertaining to the patent. And then that's why these three requirements are so much common. Second is an inventive step. Inventive step means that the claim, the invention which you intend to protect is non-obvious to the skill of the person, that person's skill in the art. Let me repeat, that invention which you are claiming, as per the inventive step is concerned, non-obvious to the person's skill in the art. So for an example, like what we are using this chalk for the blackboard. So one student carried a research and he invented a dust-free chalk. So there may be 100 students, and then dust-free chalk. So here his dust-free chalk is non-obvious to the person's skill in the art. Those who are there as a student, for them that is a non-obvious. So this is another requirement. Third is an industrial application. Patent is an industrial property. The first thing, the patent is an intellectual property. The second is patent is an industrial property. So you have to use the patent for industry. Before moving to drafting your patent application, you need to understand these three requirements, essential requirements, which are globally accepted. So industrial application, if you are not going for an industrial application, then your patent may be revoked. That can be a ground for revocation of patent. So, and that is also ground for granting of the patent. If it is not applicable to the industry, then it will be not granted. It will be covered in your examination report. Examination report is very essential. Before that, patent won't be granted. So this is about the patent. So this is kit for, I mean that, so many example we can discuss. Thermometer with light indicator, that how, what, etc., etc. Here is a novelty, inventive step, and industrial application is also there. So that with this, now we are moving to the second phase of patent process. Once now you understood patent is an intellectual property, you need to understand the essential requirement for the patent. You also need to understand what is non-patentable. Say, if you understood there is an, if there is an invention, if there is an inventive step or novelty, and of course industrial application, you can go. But there are certain inventions which are even invention and carrying or fulfilling all the essential requirements, still you are not allowed to get the patent. Those inventions are considered as a non-patentable invention. And for an example, an atom bomb, that is maybe a new invention. Previously it was like man-made, and this now someone invented like pen atom bomb, and this is a new, there is a novelty, there is an inventive steps and industrial application. Fake diya jayega to fat diya jayega, etc., etc. But such kind of invention are non-patentable invention. So you need to bifurcate before you move to any kind of patent application for the registration, that whether it's an invention. Second, whether that invention is non-patentable invention. Even it may be an invention, but if it belongs to the category of non-patentable invention, it will not be considered. What does it mean? It means there is a provision in the Patent Act, as per the section 4.5 is concerned, that non-patentable invention. So these are the some example which you can understand that they have improved what I said, technical enhancement and economic significance. They have improved certain existing inventions, and then applied for a patent. They have fulfilled the requirement, and then these are our own, that those patents filed by us, and then those are published. So here again, third essential. So please don't jump to application for any registration of intellectual property right, unless and until you understand the basic of that particular form of intellectual property, maybe patent, essential to get the protection of that intellectual property, or particularly patent. You will not succeed in the registration. You will hang somewhere in between. So you first understand what is patent. Patent is granted for what? What are the essential requirement in the beginning, need to understand. Then basically, what is the purpose of patent? What is the purpose of that law, that patent? I'm just giving a quick review. However, it takes hours and hours to understand each and every aspect. So these are the objectives. Now, procedure. These are the four common stages. Remember, these are four common stages you will find for all forms of intellectual property right. If you remember these four stages, this is applicable to trademark, this is also applicable to the copyright, this is also applicable to the design, and this is also applicable to the geographical indication. What is first rate? This of course there are differences, but here these three, I mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 stages are very common. Number one, application. Since you want to get protected your invention, your intellectual property right, then the first thing which you have to do is to submit an application. Now first, to submit an application, again there are certain questions which you can ask. Who can apply? Second, where to apply? Third, which form is required to apply? Fourth, what is the fee to apply? So let's start with one by one. Who can apply? Only and only as per the Patent Act is concerned, true and use. The first true inventor. The first true inventor is entitled to make an application. I'm going back to the same example. This is not my pen. Someone pen I borrowed, so I'm not a owner of this. I cannot claim ownership of this. Similarly, if I cannot apply for someone's inventions and that invention must have invented by me, I am the true inventor and entitled to submit an application. So now which form is required? There are 27 forms and form number 1 is required to submit an application. That form number 1 is just giving an idea about the name, addresses and etc. Then along with form number 1, the most important form need to be submitted. That is called as a techno-legal document called complete specification. And coming to that, complete specification is basically a technical documents, and that is where you have to submit technical specification. This is called as a complete specification. So you'll have to disclose your inventions in detail to the patent office. That is creating the scope of your invention. That is creating the legal boundary of the invention. There you can say, so for similar things, like if you are claiming this office is my property, you need to submit that this is a 200 square feet. There is a wall on the east side, door on the west side, window on the north side, etc. The description of the property. Likewise, the inventions details need to be explained properly in form number 2. That is complete specification. That is a techno-legal document. If you have idea and if you wanted to protect your idea, your product or process is not yet ready. Still, fortunately, we have a concept called provisional specification. Through that, you can protect your idea, and within certain specified time, that is a 12 months from the date of submission, you can particularly submit the complete specification. So in short, this is about the procedural aspect of patent, and that is where you need to understand the basic, again, then procedure. The second is a publication. You submitted your application with certain form with prescribed fee. The government of India Patent Office particularly will publish your application. I must again explain you all here. As per the Act, Section 11 of the Patent Act is concerned, publication is a like privilege of grant. So from date of publication, you can commercially exploit your invention. So it may take some time to get or grant the patent, but your publication can be done within a month time. And from the date of publication, you can start commercial exploitation of your patent. Then thereafter, examination. While submitting form number 1 itself, you have to submit form number 2, form number 3, form number 5, form number 9, form number 18. Form number 9 and 18 particularly talks about the publication and examination. So as you submit an application to the patent office, then they will examine your application, and if they find any queries, they will issue you examination report, and you have to comply the requirement as per the examination report is concerned. And finally, the patent office will register your patent. Similar process is applicable for your trademark. Similar, whether the similar, whatever it may be, symbol, it may be logo, it may be name. That is the first thing, is whether the similar mark is available or not. So prior art search of that particular property. Second, make an application, submit the details. Next step would be the publication, again from Government of India, the trademark registry. Next, examination further, and finally registration. Period for term for the patent is 20 years from the date of application. Term from the trademark is 10 years from the date of application. Now, here is that precaution need to be carried while making an application. From where? From idea generation to the product development or process development, you will have to understand each and every aspect. There is a very big challenge, and only professional can do probably in a best possible manner, where most of the time that inventor is so much excited to get the patent, and then he submit an application in hurry and then ultimately bury the applications. So here, some of the essential, again, not mentioned essential requirement is do not be in hurry, do not publish your invention in public. It should be first submitted to the patent office, then patent office will publish, then there will be prosperity. So here is a prior art requirement. What I said, title search report for our normal property purchase. Here is a prior art search. I repeat this sentence previously already mentioned that your invention should not be available in any part of the world in any form. What does it mean by any part of the world in any form? Any part of the world means if you wanted to claim patent for this pen may not be patented in India, but might have patented in China. So if this pen is patented in China, you will not get the patent in India. So the nicety of the intellectual property is that global recognitions, global scenario is considered because India is a member of Madrid Convention, India is a member of Bern Convention, India is a member of WTO, India is a member of TRIPS Agreement, India is a member of WIPO, India is a member of Paris Convention. These are different international arrangements with respect to the intellectual property, and because of that, the global scenario here. So if Covishield is protected here in India, you cannot manufacture the similar there in other countries. If you do so, there is a chance for the violation, and I'm going to talk about that later. So here is the prior. Now you apply for a patent. There are now only electronic filing. Previously it was physical filing. Now they are replaced absolutely with the electronic filing. Then online submission, you need to have your patent agent. So who can file? Say in like in income tax, CA can practice. In company related matter, company secretary can practice. In court of law, lawyers are entitled to practice. But here, to practice in patent, you have to be a patent agent. So patent agent will draft the application. Patent agent will submit the application. Patent application need to cover, as I already said, those essential part, novelty, inventory steps, and industrial application. Apart from that, personal details, your name, your address, your place of business also need to be covered. These are the basic 4 patent offices in India. They work for your patent. So if you submitted your application, either of the patent examiner will examine your application. So he may be sitting at Mumbai office, Delhi office, wherever he is. He will examine and he will issue the examination report. So this is basically a requirement what we have discussed in general. Forms, then details, then claims. Claim is nothing but the legal boundary. I have already discussed about the 2 types of documents. Basically, form number 2 that has to be submitted, that is a complete specification and provisional specification. So now, what is the practical hint to be understand? Your invention must be clearly defined in the document. So here is an example of Alexa. You can see that the drawing is very much clear. What Alexa is doing, how it will be functioning, where there is a connection, that each and every aspect is clearly is properly covered in the drawing. So you can describe that in description. You can also support that through the drawing. It may be 3D drawing, 2D drawing, whichever it's need to be covered. Then publication, I have already mentioned about that. There is what does it cover? It covers the summary of your invention. It covers the name of the applicant. It covers the name of the inventor. So what is the difference between the applicant and inventor? When you are an individual, an inventor, and you are also an applicant, then you are an inventor plus applicant. But when you are an engineer and working for certain big companies, maybe IBM, so IBM will be an applicant and you will be an inventor. Remember that in due course of an employment, whatever you invent, whatever intellectual property you generate, it belongs to the employer, and employee's name is just for maybe as an inventor or creator. That's it. So this is about the benefit. What does it cover? Basically, remember here these are the various important, you can say, steps. First step, we discuss about the application. Second, we are discussing about the publication. Publication, what does it contain? And third, after this, examination will be carried. Such kind of examination report will be issued by the patent office. It normally covers that they may found that particular pain is already in exist. So if that pain is already in exist, how you can claim that your pain is a novel pain? So that way, then you'll have to submit the differences, you'll have to reply that. That is what we can technically call your expertise, your skill to deal with that examination report and convince the examiner that yours is a new and useful invention entitled to the patent, and then you submit your what you can say, reply to the examination. Remember, if you have to request to the patent office for an examination. So form number 18 is mandatory. So if you fail to submit an examination request, they will not examine your application. If they not examine your application, you will not get the grant of your intellectual property right. So there are certain ways like to expedite. So maybe you get 100 patent application per day, but if there is a woman inventor, then a separate queue is there. If there is a startup, a separate arrangement for such startup is there. That startup is must be registered by the DPIIT, Government of India, Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Then if you basically again small and medium enterprises, then there is a fee reduction also provision is there. So that way a separate arrangement is available to expedite your examination. One more important arrangement is there in the expediting the examination is if you have filed a patent application in India and further you opted India as an ISA. ISA means International Searching Authority. There are few ISAs through that you can go to the international patent system. So if you want to protect your invention, maybe say 40 countries, so there are certain, as I said, conventions accepted by India, and those conventions and arrangement came from the WIPO. So then according to WIPO, ISA is there, and ISA, if you select India as an ISA, then also your examination will be expedited. So with these are the few you can say way to get it, that particular examination done in an expedited way. So then finally registration. This is a certificate. This is valid for 20 years. And it may be granted maybe third year or fourth year from the date of application, but you will have to renew it periodically. You will have to submit working of patent because of the third essential ingredient we discussed, that is an industrial application. So in other way, you took the patent for this pen, and if you are not manufacturing this pen, if you are not even licensing the invention to someone else, in short, if the invention is not working, then according to the Patent Act, this can be revoked. Hence, working of patent is an essential part for the patent process. So further payment of renewal. I got the patent today, I need to renew because patent office is keeping a record of your inventions. Every year it has to be, and you can pay in advance, maybe 5 years, 10 years renewal fee. So there you can see if you fail to pay the renewal fee, then also your patent, your invention will be discarded from the patent office. So this is about the patent. Now, I can summarize the patent process. We started about discussing about the general understanding about the intellectual property right. These are the all properties. So concept of jurisprudence is applicable to the all intellectual property right also, mainly the ownership and possession. Then further we discuss the Patent Act, the procedure. Patent is for invention. Again, invention need to have three essential ingredients. Number one is inventive novelty, number two inventive steps, and number three is industrial application. We discuss one by one. So before moving to the application, you need to understand the essential of that, essential requirement to get that intellectual property right. So we discuss in detail about the patents. Then we move to the procedure aspect of the patent. The procedure aspect can be further divided into forms, fees, then content of the form, then further what you need to cover, particularly what other document need to be attached. What I say, form one may be talking about the general information of the application, but form two is a techno-legal part for patent, particularly called as a complete specification or provisional specification. So with this, your application will be ready. Then it will be published by the patent office. It will be further examined by the patent office, and finally registration will be done. And then periodic renewal is renewal fee need to be paid. Working of patent is need to be submitted in time. So this is about the patent process. Now let's start with the trademark registration process. Trademark again is an intellectual property. Second, trademark is also an industrial property. Third, what is the essential requirement of the patent? Of the trademark. Remember, there are only two sections. If you are from the law background, two important sections with respect to the trademark need to be remember, that is section 9 and section 11. Absolute ground for refusal of the trademark and relevant ground for the refusal of the trademark. So, and before that also, you need to understand the different category of the trademark. So trademark may be a service mark, trademark may be a sound mark. So trademark, again, the basic of the trademark, including the objective of the trademark, including the functioning of the trademark, including the jurisdiction of the trademark, etc., etc., etc. Those are essential, like what we discuss about the patent. Here is also need to understand. So thereafter, what section 9 say, what section 11 say, you'll have to see that what is covered in there. If it is not covered there, then that should be a trademark. So let me give you an example. Some symbol which you intend to go for a trademark registration is harmful or is harmful to the sentiment of any religions. For an example, Om for chicken shop, or whatsoever it may be, 786 for your wine shop. That will not be at all considered for a registration. And second, if something already registered, you cannot get. So what does it mean? Again, this, if some property is already in exist, you will not claim ownership on that property. Similar concept thought is applicable to the trademark. If someone already received the trademark, you will not get the trademark. And that's why, like your title search report for your normal property, what we say prior art search for your patent, here is a trademark search. For trademark search, you need to understand there is an international arrangement called NICE classification. NICE classification, where you'll find 45 classes are covered and mainly divided into two categories. Up to 35, all classes are related to the goods, and 35 onwards, 36 onwards are trademark classes for your service mark. So for an example, say class 41 is for education related services, class 45 social services, class 36 your marketing related services. So if you have a business and that is digital marketing related services, then you can go with the class 36. So why you need to understand classes is very, very, very important. Before making your trademark application, you should understand all classes. So your business is for A purpose, and if you apply for the B businesses, then you cannot claim the ownership on the A. So that's why some of the big companies always get protected in all classes. I work for Lal Bagh Raja, I work for Darushak Ganpati, and also work for the Firodia Karnataka. What we for Darushak Ganpati and for your Lal Bagh Raja, we applied for all classes. What does it mean? If someone wanted to manufacture paint with the name of Darushak Ganpati, they cannot, because that is a registered trademark. So there your goodwill is very important. There your registration is important, and that is a very much essential recognitions. So that's why before making any trademark application, all classes need to be understood very well. And you can get the trademark requirement form where you should get an idea the nature of a business, whether it is a service, whether it is a goods, whether, and then accordingly select the class and accordingly prepare the trademark search report. So what is trademark search report? Before making an application for trademark, you can have this report in hand to get an idea whether your symbol, visual symbol, is particularly entitled or able to get the registration or not. Previously, some unknown places, basically even not registered trademark, protected under the Trademark Act 1999. That is what also covered. That is what we can say passing of action. I'm coming to that when the remedies part will be discussed. So here, the trademark search will give you an idea. Your symbol, your visual symbol is not conflicting with any other mark, so you may make an application for the same. Trademark search report is 100% not, it's not 100% valid, because every second, every minute, there are applications all over India and sometimes globally also coming. So someone claims today that trademark search is updated and there is no registered trademark or mark available in the registry, and tomorrow you apply that may not be considered. So this is one. Now let's, after the essential requirement, what is not trademark, what is trademark. So we discussed trademark is all visual symbol. What is not trademark? We also discussed something which is against the public morality, public interest, or sentiment to the religious heart. Such things are not considered as a trademark, or even something which is already existing, already registered, also cannot be considered as a trademark. So once you understand this essential of the trademark, then you can start preparing an application. Trademark application is not a big task. The CS professionals, CA professionals, advocate, they all can be a trademark agent. Trademark agent can practice in trademark registry, and he can prepare the trademark application. There are again certain essential points. Name of the proprietor. Again, you have to remember, individual applicant will have to pay very less amount or normal ordinary amount. If you are a legal entity, that means you may be a company, you may be a partnership firm, you may be a proprietorship firm, and so you are not an individual. So there, the fees for such kind of application are double or higher side. However, as per the new MSME rule, if you register yourself as an MSME, then there is a reduction in the fees for the trademark is available. So these are the things. Which form is required? What are the content of the form? It includes your name of the applicant, user date, from when you are using the trademark, then of course language, whether it's in English or Marathi or any regional language. Those are the basic will be covered in the application. and then your application will be submitted online uh, to the trademark registry. We have 5 offices for the trademark. There are 4 offices as we discussed for the patent, where you can, where your application examined and where you have to appear for hearing if they call you. That, however, for trademark we have 5 offices. Apart from that, Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata, Chennai, there is a one more office working for the trademark since long. That is Ahmedabad office. So if you are in that jurisdiction, then if any office action or if any hearing is required, then you have to go and appear in that particular respective office according to the jurisdictions of that trademark office. So then this is about, we discuss form, place, fees, and examination. Now you have submitted your application. Trademark registry will examine your application. Normally, that examiner is, there are again 2 categories. Number that examiner appointed on contract basis. That again, he must be a lawyer. LLB is an essential criteria for trademark examiner. So it may be temporary appointment, it may be a permanent appointment. They will examine your application. They may found that, okay, there is a similar mark as per the section 9 or section 11 is concerned, and accordingly they will issue a examination report. They may say a similar mark is found, so your trademark may not be considered for a registration. You please submit your reply to our report. So that applicant will have to submit a reply to the examination report within the stipulated time. If you fail to do so, your application will be abandoned. So that's very important area, time. Your examination, once it is carried by examiner and your FER, first examination report is ready, within the stipulated time that will reply, and if that reply is accepted, then trademark registry may publish your application. If it is not accepted, then they may arrange a hearing where you can convince the examiner. Nowadays all hearings are happening online, so then if the examiner is convinced, then they will accept the application. So application is submitted within jurisdiction, then I examine acceptance, it will be published. There is a 3-month period, basically that is objection period. If any third party is interested, remember objection is always by the examiner and opposition is by third party. So once your application is accepted, within 3 months, if you are not getting any opposition, then examiner will issue you a certificate of grant. So these all, and meanwhile, if you received any opposition, as per the rule 45(1) is concerned, you have to reply to the opposition within the stipulated time. If you fail to do so, then again your application will be abandoned. Now, our office action include many other things. Someone oppose your application, you submitted your say. Further, they will submit their evidences. You will also submit the evidences. And if you fail to do so, then as per the rule 46 is concerned, your application will be abandoned. So remember, these are the office action, because, and even if we talk one topic, then it takes hours to understand. But I just tried to summarize the entire process in few points, and that you can understand. So here is the office action that may be pertaining to the objection, or office action may be pertaining to the opposition. The third criteria is a rectification. So you, for an example, if you have XYZ name using by yourself from your forefathers, basically, maybe as you can say 100 years old, your firm is there with certain name, and someone wanted to take an advantage of your name. So if he applied, he got it registered, and you came to know that your name is registered by someone else, your name is not registered trademark, do you have some right? The answer is yes, I do have some right. That is, first is a passing off my goodwill, my reputation, that may protect my unregistered trademark, and I can entitled to take an actions against the registered trademark, the gentleman who intend to take the benefit of my goodwill. So that's the scenario you'll have to remember, and that is the four part you can say is a rectification. We discuss about the application, we discuss about the publication, we discuss about the examination, we discussing now the objection and opposition, which is very important for trademark. Need to remove, need to reply in time frame bound, and once you have through all the process, then lastly registration. The registration of trademark is valid for 10 years from the date of application. I repeat, from the date of application. So if you apply today and if your trademark is registered after 2 years, still the trademark protection starts from the date of application. That you will have to remember. So these are the all essential, basically one page process of trademark registration, and you'll have to remember this basic. Here also that 4 point application, publication, examination, and registration. So you can divide that into four parts. Now coming to the another form of intellectual property registration called copyright registration. Unlike your trademark and patent, here is no prior search is required, because the essential requirement for copyright is originality. So you might have written a book in 2017, and if you wanted to publish in the year of 2021, then there is no restriction for you to submit an application. So only requirement is it should be a original. Means you have not taken that book or that chapter from someone else. That is created by you. And that is what the essential requirement for the copyright registration. Again, here forms are there which need to be submitted. Those are the standard forms. Like form 1 is for the invention, form trademark TM1 is there. So here is also a standard 14 number form is there, through which you can submit your application, again online. Here the most important aspect is statement of particular, further statement of particular. These are the additional support which will have to submit to the trademark registry. There are basically 4 indexes you will find in the copyright registration. Number 1 is author index, number 2 is title index, number 3 is translated author index, number 4 is translated that index, basically author and title index in the original and author and title index in translated version. So that you'll have to remember. Now you have submitted an application. The application will go to the Copyright Office, which is situated in Dwarka Sector 14, that is in Patent Office itself. There is a registrar for copyright, and there are deputy registrar for also copyright. All over India's application only goes to the Copyright Office if particularly we are claiming copyright. You'll have to remember the different type of works before also preparing your copyright application. Number 1, literary, artistic, dramatic, cinematographic, sound recording work. So you can define your work belongs to which category. If you have book, then literary. If you have painting, then artistics. If you, well, likewise, you can divide initially, and fees varies accordingly. Very important aspect of copyright you have to remember in India and even in Europe, software are protected under the copyright registration. So software, maybe you have XYZ software. So that software can be protected as a copyright in India because of the Article 10 of the TRIPS agreement, which talks about the computer program. That computer program is nothing but the copyright, basically for the software. So now with this, if you have submitted, they have checked, copyright office is verified, and if they found there are some missing points, maybe not covered in the application, then they'll issue you the discrepancy letter, and accordingly you can further submit your application with the modification and requirement. Once you have submitted your application, then the last step is registration. So it will be registered in Copyright Office. The registration is valid for individual is life plus 60 years. So Mahatma Gandhiji's work was in life up to 2008, because after his death, 60 year, his legal heir enjoyed the copyright protection. That is very important term you have to remember, term of the copyright. Unlike your trademark and patent, you don't have to renew the copyright application. The term itself is a very longer term and better term and stronger term. So now I'm coming to the very last part as for all patent, trademark, copyright, registration process, etc. That is a remedy. Can you take an action for the unregistered trademark? Yes, you can. I have already explained that. That is what the action called as a passing of action for unregistered trademark. If you have a good bill, if you have a reputation, and if someone started using your mark without your permission, and if it proves that is harmful to your industry, and there is a causing confusion in the mind of the consumer, then you are entitled to take an action. That is what the common law protection is available for the unregistered trademark. And for your copyright also, registration is no mandatory, but it plays an important for what you can say, an evidence evidence required in the court of law. So that is a strong base. And with this, there are basically three types of remedies: civil, criminal, administrative remedy, especially for the copyright registration. So what is civil remedy? Again, that damages, compensation, injunction, those are, you can say, civil remedies. So if XYZ person is using my trademark, I can sue against him and can claim compensation, maybe a damages for my violation of my intellectual property right. So that's the you can say a civil remedy. However, I can ask police, what you can say, police people to come and seize the infringed copies in infringers go down, and further can immediately take to the criminal. What we know criminal is fine, penalty, imprisonment, etc. So those remedies are available for copyright violation, for trademark violation. However, civil remedies are strongly available only for patent application. So in other words, these are different laws and different provisions pertaining to the remedies of the for the violation of intellectual property right is concerned. Procedure are even different, but there are four common aspects are covered in every IP register, all these IP registration. One is application, and before making an application, lots of care need to be done. Second, about publication, government will publish your application. From the date you can enjoy the monopoly. Third is your examination will be carried by the respective examiner. And fourth, after the examination with certain office action, the application will be registered. Now, if you once you have a registered copyright, trademark, and then your patent, then you are entitled to take an actions against the fake user and that is what the ultimate purpose of the all intellectual property right. With this, I would like to conclude myself that there are four main stages you will have to remember: application, publication, examination, registration. Before application, essential to and is essential for the intellectual property right. It may be patent, it may be trademark, it may be copyright. Then publication will be done by the government of authorities. It may be trademark registry, it may be the patent office of India. The third, after the publication, there is an examination. It may be carried, the examiner of the respective offices will carry the examination and they will convey you their examination report. Fourth, you will have to reply to the examination report within the stipulated time. If it is accepted, then you have any intellectual property that will be granted. If not, then they'll give you an opportunity to be heard. That is what we can call principle of natural justice. With this all simple process, you can practice in intellectual property right. This is a techno-legal subject, but an interesting subject. I thought I should summarize that in a very lucid manner, and then we can keep 5 to 10 minutes for the question and answer. So with this, I again must say thank you for an organizer and happy to interact with the participant. Thank you very much. We can take some few questions.
Thank you, sir, for such a wonderful and knowledgeable session. If you permit, may I please go with the question answer round?
You please.
So the first question is whether legal heirs are allowed to apply for the patent instead of inventor.
With the consent of inventor, they can be a co-applicant. So if I am what you can say, I have if I supported my father for his invention, and if he want me to take as a co-applicant, then we both can be a co-applicant. If what you can say, deceased person, if someone some inventor passed away suddenly for any reason, then like your other properties, this property, maybe your patent, will be transferred, what you can say, automatically as like an ancestral property to the legal heirs.
Thank you, sir. The second question is, to whom does the patent right transfer?
I can read one question, interesting question. What is the difference between the objection and opposition? Objection is always by trademark registry and opposition is by third party. No, sorry, you go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So the second question is, to whom does the patent right transfer after the demise of the patentee?
Legal heirs.
Okay,
Legal heirs, including with legal heirs, you know that very well, legal concept of the legal heir, that it may be his son, it may be his daughter, or it may be his wife, in all commonly, like an ancestral property.
Thank you, sir. The next question is, what is the current scope of patent disputes in India? Are there any court rooms dedicated especially for this purpose?
Very good question and really appreciated. Yes, nowadays in India, commercial courts are established to deal IP related matter, including patents. So expedite procedure is there, and exclusive they have a discretion to deal on certain essential important intellectual property right, including patent. So commercial courts are established everywhere, and mainly at High Court, definitely at High Court तो होगा ही होगा, वहां पे आप अपना पेटेंट रिलेटेड डिस्प्यूट्स का जल्द डिसीजन ले सकते हैं.
Thank you, sir. The next question is, the loopholes contained in the Patent Act as to assignment and pre-assignment between the employer and employee seems a barrier in terms of moral proprietary recognition of any invention invented by the employee, which is maneuvered by virtue of an premeditated and contractual agreement. In such a case, how can the patent rights of an employee be protected?
See, you can simply enter into a separate agreement with the employer in the beginning itself. In absence of any agreement with an employer, there is a thumb rule, there is a straight kind of a consideration that in due course of an employment, anything which is developed by the employee belongs to the employer, because employer is paying for that purpose only. If I'm an engineer and if I'm working for if I'm engineer and if I'm working for any company, and if I invented something, I'm getting a salary for my work only. So that is what the general rule which is there in the patent, that in due course of employment, whatever I develop, it belongs to the employer in absence of any agreement. However, if I sign a separate agreement with the employer, like, okay, you give me this much of salary plus you need to include my name also an employer as an applicant, then co-ownership will be established.
Thank you, sir. The next question would be, is there any limit to make application for both patent and trademark? How many
No.
such applications can be made and how many inventions can be patented by a patentee?
No limit. You can submit n number of patent application. You can submit n number of trademark application. Rather, those who are submitting higher number of trademark application and patent application, they have an opportunity to get the National IP Award if they are working for the purely and according to the law, for promoting awareness and utilizing the system in intellectual property right in India.
Yes, sir. So the second last question would be, what is the administrative remedy against infringement?
See, this is a remedy available only for the copyright, and where apart from your civil, criminal, administrative, basically to seize the infringed copy, that is what the administrative somehow remedy that is applicable only for the copyright.
Yes, sir. So the one last question is from YouTube Live. So the person asked, from where trademark search is made, is that the authority is accessible to make search? Any eligibility for such search?
See, again, trademark search, what I said, not 100% absolute search. Even that page displayed in the trademark registry, on the top of that page of our application, it is mentioned clearly that not for legal use. So here is that it is not an absolute search, but that search is very helpful for you to prepare an application. You will get an not 100% clear idea, but you will get an idea where, okay, there are only there are chances for making an application, and then you can.
Thank you, sir. Just the last question which is popped up, that is, if a patent dispute is not resolved by Indian courts, can aggrieved so to international forum for dispute resolution?
No. No, if it depends on actually case to case, like basically patent is a territorial right. If you find that violation is there within India, then you can take that infringers to the court of law in India. If you find there is a violation in foreign country of your patent, then you, of course, you'll have to register your patent there in that country, and then based on that you are entitled to take an action against there in that country. For an example, turmeric was patented by University of Mississippi there in US, but that turmeric was having the traditional knowledge related information in India. So India fought the case there in US PTO and got back that or revoked the patent. So there are many cases which can be read, like a Basmati case, then Neem case, and watermelon cases. Right now the case is going on where we are fighting our claims, our traditional knowledge, our products there in abroad.
Consent. Sir, should I please, can I repeat the question?
What?
Sir, can I repeat the last question?
You please, last question.
Thank you so much, sir. I think there is some technical issue. She was not able to hear you up. I thank Honorable Professor Ganesh Ingmire, sir, for taking time out for today's session and addressing the questions, addressing each and every question. I thank sir for this wonderful session. I also thank all other attendees for evincing interest in today's session. Thank you so much, one and all present here. I request everyone to join for tomorrow's last session at 6 p.m. Please note that tomorrow's session will start at 6 p.m. Thank you so much, one and all.